For all the latest community news and events.
103.2 Preston FM.
Your community, your radio.
And nice to welcome my second guest into the studio this morning. It's Rosie Green, and Rosie's from Preston City Council, and she's here to talk about the Good Neighbour Network. So Rosie, a very good morning.
Good morning.
And lovely to meet you. And I think you're from the community engagement team?
That's right, from the community engagement team at the Town Hall on Lancaster Road.
Okay, so I mean, we all know that probably one of the best things that you can do within the community is be good neighbours, but maybe sometimes, and especially these days, we tend to worry about getting too much involved or to be seen as a prying neighbour or whatever. So what is the Good Neighbour Network all about?
The Good Neighbour Network is about supporting people that aren't nosy neighbours but generally look out for their community. There's so many people across Preston, across the country, that look out for people in their community and in their neighbourhood. And the network is about bringing those people together, offering them training, advice and support, and ensuring that on the ground, if they come across someone that they know, a family, a friend or a neighbour, who needs some support or help, they know where to send them to. They know that there is someone that they can call. So it is an informal network of community leaders really across the city.
All right, so there's actually training available. So how does it then go forward? Can individuals do this, or do groups of people get together as a community and then make contact and they are offered training, etc.?
Yeah, what we normally do is people can sign up as individuals. It's a very simple process to do that. They either get in contact with me or go via our website. And you then get on our mailing list. You get a monthly community engagement bulletin newsletter, which has all sorts of different information in it that is happening across the city, whether it's existing community organisations, new initiatives starting up. And then we have bi-monthly training sessions that are held in the Town Hall in an evening, normally a Thursday evening from 6 till 8, and you get a bit of food. But the sessions are really aimed at things that are current, things that are happening in the moment, or things that our members have brought to our attention that are an issue within the city at the moment. So, for example, when the welfare reform was first mooted, we did a whole session on welfare reform, what it actually meant for people and people in the city. We've done information, we've had a session run by Lancashire Community Finance around credit, and things like the Bright House and the payday loan lenders, and just basically talking through the pitfalls of that kind of borrowing, and where you can go for safer financial advice. So it's not all about money. We do things with our next session is around vulnerability. So if you noticed you did have a vulnerable neighbour in your community, what could you do about that? What information could you offer to them to support them? So it's absolutely anything and everything. And there's so many people out there running existing community organisations that sometimes stumble across a problem, or because they're trusted in the community, people come to them, and they often need that little bit of support, little bit of extra help, just to know really what to do. I think with the cuts, people have thought that organisations are no longer there to support, but that's simply not the case. There are people still there. Resources have been cut, but for the poorest and the vulnerable in our society, there are people there to help and support, and the Good Neighbour Network is about getting people to help each other.
Right, and I mean, for lots of people, often crime is either of a concern, or they think that it is prevalent in the area. Is crime one of the issues that's been on the agenda?
It absolutely has been, yes. We've done a session around hate crime, for example. We had a session on hate crime, I think it was at the end of last year, and talking about the different categories of hate crime and what they are, and also talking about antisocial behaviour and how antisocial behaviour that is instigated on a regular basis can become a huge problem for that person, and how to recognise that if that's happening in your community. It may only seem like a small thing like knock a door run, but if that's happening constantly through the night to someone who really struggles with that, then that's an issue and that's a problem for that person. So around the crime aspect, we've looked at things around crime prevention. We've promoted the Crime Stoppers programme, because often people have fear of reprisals. Well, if you go through Crime Stoppers, you can report anonymously, and the police are always saying we want intelligence, we want people to report. That's the way to do it, and we always offer that information to our members.
Right, and is it already up and running? Have you got many groups around the city that are part now of the Good Neighbour Network?
It has been running for some time. I think we're in our 3rd year now of the Good Neighbour Network, and we're getting new members all the time. What is really good is, although sometimes we may not have like the official number of members on our list, but members will then pass out the information we send to them, to their group or to their neighbours or to their community, and we'll cascade that information. For example, one of the members that I have is a member of 3 different community organisations, and I know that he passes the information that I send to him probably to another 40, 50 people. So it's that kind of cascading of information that we've managed to set up. Something else we also do is we run a Everybody Needs Good Neighbours campaign twice a year, and at the moment we are in a campaign period, and basically all that is a marketing information to say, don't be a stranger, don't mind your own business, look out for your neighbours, because you never know when someone will need a helping hand. And here is some useful information, some numbers that you can use if you have any concerns.
So a nice way of networking then.
Absolutely.
And I take it we're not only talking about on estates this working, what about areas where maybe, you know, it's not like the close community of an estate? Would it work in, you know, a more spread out area, say an area of terraced streets?
It works anywhere, and we have members across the city in all different areas, not just estates, but absolutely anywhere and everywhere. It's the people. It's those people that are willing to say, I'm not just going to close my door and not be there for the people that I live close to. And it's finding those people that are willing to come forward and be a voice for where they live.
And I take it that through the neighbourhood network that maybe people come together to do things like go out for a walk, or to actually get involved in social occasions that maybe, you know, is a little different to the neighbourhood network that we're talking about now.
Absolutely. I mean, we have some of the members of the Good Neighbour Network. There were Preston Guilders, for example, that have got involved into the guild when we had Preston Guild on through the network, because it was around the same time that was that came about. So people have got involved in other volunteering opportunities through the network, and vice versa.
Is this quite unique to us in Preston, do you think, or are there other neighbourhood networks running across the country?
Well, I've had a look. This was kind of my brainchild.
Is that right? Well, it sounds a very good idea.
But we did have something in the city several years ago when we had neighbourhood management operating, especially in the eastern centre of Preston, called the Street Reps programme. And the Good Neighbour Network came out of that when the Good Neighbourhood Management finished. And the Street Reps were people that monitored their areas and reported any issues, but monitored that information as to, say, some fly tipping was there, they'd report it. Then they would feed back to us to how quickly that had been removed. Now, with the advent of new technology, that really isn't something that's needed anymore, because through our elaborate contact centre systems that the council and the county council have, we can see how often and how quickly jobs are being responded to. But there is still that need for those neighbourly connections between people, and also someone who will say, actually, there is fly tipping there, do you know what, I know the number to ring to get it shifted. And a lot of people don't often know that, or they've moved into an area and they go, well, I don't know when my bin's being emptied. Well, a lot of the time there might be someone on their street that does know that information.
And that's probably quite an important point, isn't it? That people moving into an area that they don't know, by becoming a member of the network, they then are able to find out lots of things that if they tried to do it as an individual would take them some considerable time.
Absolutely. And that's been something about the network that's been very successful, is learning from each other. We're very lucky in this city, especially around communities, community groups, community projects, and especially environmental projects. groups have learned so much from each other in different parts of the city when they didn't realise a similar project was happening. So, for example, we've done some community food growing projects with Preston Environmental Forum, and I believe my colleague Paul Greenwood's going to be on chatting to you in a few weeks' time about that. But that has been people, different groups wanting to do something where they live, but learning from someone else that may be a little bit further ahead. And the Good Neighbour Network has that principle. It might not be an environmental project, but if they wanted to start up a youth club, if they wanted to start up a group, if they wanted to start up a community project, I will know, or they can get some contact, mentor information from somebody else in the city.
Right. So, Rosie, tell us how people can find out more about the Good Neighbour Network.
Well, there's plenty of ways you can. First of all, I'll pump my Twitter account.
Lovely. Yes, off you go.
I'm on Twitter, so you need to follow me on Rosie Green PCC, and you can follow me there on Twitter and get in touch with me, either a direct message or just tweet me, and you can get on there. If you go onto the Preston City Council website, and on the bottom there's a link that says Neighbours and Community. If you click in there, that'll show you all the information for the community engagement team. So not just the Good Neighbour Network information, but absolutely everything else. And then there's the traditional telephone number that you can call through to our department, and that's 01772 906 453. And if you give that number a call, someone will be able to help you and make sure you get signed up to the network.
And just remind us again, how often do members of the network come together to
bi-monthly?
So
we do it
bi-monthly.
We have a bi-monthly meeting, an evening meeting. It's 2 hours. It's not mandatory that you attend. If it's a training session that doesn't particularly interest you, you don't have to come. It's about being on that mailing list and getting that information, and also passing information back. If you've got something that you want to promote, we have a list of contacts that information goes out to. So it's a two-way street, really.
Right. And we did during the interview mention Crime Stoppers, and the number there anonymously is 0800 555 111. So that's 0800 555 111, and that's Crime Stoppers. And on the leaflet, as Rosie was saying, there's numbers for noise, nuisance, litter line, neighbourhood services, environmental health. So a nice way of getting numbers that you may need, or being able to give numbers to neighbours as they need them. So, Rosie, when is the next meeting coming up? Is there one quite soon?
There is one in a couple of weeks. I don't actually have the date on me at the moment, but if you get in touch with me and you'd like to come along, we're talking about identifying vulnerability and what that means. So if anyone is interested in coming, please get in touch with me and we can get you signed up and get you on the training session.
Lovely. Okay, can I thank you for coming into Chat City this morning?
No
Been
problem.
lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Made by people like you.
Your community, your radio,
Your Preston FM.